Hey friends, for today's video, I'm sharing some footage I took while driving to Portland with my son, and then a little bit while we were in Portland. I wanted to share this footage with you for a Thoughtful Thursday video because I wanted to talk to you about the value of intentional living. It can be so easy to fill our schedules to the brim. We live in a culture characterized by distractions, demands, both in our physical world and also online, and fast-paced living. I'm realizing the value of living intentionally to give me that space to really enjoy and savor each moment. There was a time in my life when my kids were younger that I felt like I was rushing through moments as I had my eyes on the horizon towards the next thing. Now I'm learning the value of consciously choosing how to spend my time, energy, and resources so that they are in alignment with my values, goals, and priorities. We don't have to live on autopilot, living in a passive way and allowing the distractions and demands to dictate what we do. Instead, as we focus on living intentionally, we can cultivate a greater sense of fulfillment and purpose in life. What does it mean to live with intention? When I looked up the definition on the Merriam-Webster website, the definition that resonated with me was a determination to act in a certain way. Resolve. I like that idea of resolve. When we resolve to do something, it's not always the easy path or what we really want to do, but rather it's what we choose to do. But a surprising definition entry that I read was a process or manner of healing an incised wound. Wow, this really struck me. I thought about how when we are busy, we have no time to process things, no time to process emotions or thoughts that we have. We have no space to heal emotionally or sometimes even physically. When we live with intention, it leaves the margin we need to heal. When we leave that margin, we are able to reflect on and evaluate what matters most to us so that we can align our daily choices with those values and priorities. We don't have to follow social expectations or family pressures, but instead we can decide with those inner values and make choices that align with our long-term well-being, goals, and happiness. This doesn't necessarily mean a meticulously planned out day, week, or even life. It's not about adhering to some rigid routines that you put in place. Instead, it's about being proactive on how you spend your time and not allow your choices to be influenced by external pressures and circumstances, and instead by your own thoughtful choices that come from a place of your authentic self. Life is unpredictable, and things don't always go our way. Challenges and setbacks are inevitable. Living with intention doesn't mean we are exempt from the difficulties in life, but actually it does help us to be more equipped to deal with struggles as we learn to adapt, pivot, and continue to make choices that align with our values and priorities. Already having these values and priorities on the forefront of our minds can act as a compass as we navigate through challenging or unexpected circumstances in life. When we have not evaluated values, goals, and priorities, it can be all too easy to be reactive, giving into frustration and potentially reacting impulsively in stressful or unexpected circumstances in life. Another key element to living intentionally is letting go of perfectionism. Perfectionism not only is not necessary, but it's also just not attainable. Living with this desire for perfection is also unhealthy. We weren't created for perfection. Living with intention allows us to focus on progress over perfection. When we fall into the trap of believing there is some idealized version of our lives, it often leads to stress, anxiety, and burnout. By letting go of perfection, we can focus on making consistent choices that lead us towards our goals, values, and priorities, and embracing that we will not always do things flawlessly. This mindset allows us to embrace that life isn't perfect, but instead, those failures can foster resilience and encourage growth. Mindfulness is another important aspect of living with intention. By practicing mindfulness, we can be more attuned to our thoughts and emotions. This deeper awareness allows for self-reflection, which can help us stay on our intended path. Being mindful also encourages us to live in the present. We must be aware of the many distractions around us so we don't get caught up in the busyness of life and miss the opportunities to engage with the present. There are several things that I have learned over the years through focusing on living intentionally, but I will just share the top 3 things that I've learned. The first thing I learned in slowing down and living with more intention is the value of being in nature. Time in nature is never wasted, in my opinion. For me, being surrounded by God's beauty refuels my soul and gives me energy. There is a John Muir quote that I really love. He said, "Everybody needs beauty as well as bread, places to play in and pray in, where nature may heal and give strength to body and soul." I am so moved by nature. I've been known to cry while driving into the mountains, or just staring at a waterfall, or walking through the forest. The second thing that I've learned through intentional living is to really value cultivating relationships that are supportive and meaningful. This involves being present with loved ones, offering my full attention, like putting my phone away when we're together, and spending quality time with one another. It's not always easy to prioritize relationships. It takes intention to be authentic and vulnerable, creating space to develop intimacy with one another. It also includes setting healthy boundaries and really evaluating who you spend your time with. There may be some people who don't contribute positively to your life. You may find you need to step away from these draining or even toxic relationships. By surrounding yourself with people who uplift and inspire you, you create an environment that supports your intentional path. I cannot even express in words how valuable and meaningful it was for me to have this few weeks with my son, moving him up to Portland. I will always treasure these sweet memories in my heart, and I'm so thankful that he allowed me to tag along on this part of his journey and help him get set up in Portland. It was such meaningful time spent together as mother and son before launching him into this big world. Lastly, the third thing I wanted to share with you is living with intention is more likely to provide us with opportunities to do things outside of our comfort zone. By its nature, intentional living promotes growth, expansion, and change. When we stop living on autopilot and living in the rut of societal expectations, we can do things that in the past we have felt uncomfortable doing. The more I do things outside of my comfort zone, the more I realize that this is where life is truly lived. There is this Helen Keller quote that I wanted to share with you, and she said, "Life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all." And I couldn't agree more. When we just run on the treadmill of life, we aren't really living. Well, friends, I hope this chat about living intentionally encouraged you today. I always love hearing from you in the comments, so please share your thoughts on my thoughts. Also, thank you for letting me share these precious memories with you. And I wanted to share an update on my son. He is doing amazing in Portland. He's loving his job and he's making new friends and spending time with his friends outside of work. I'm so incredibly proud of him and so glad that I was able to be there for him in this big life transition. Thanks so much for watching today. I appreciate you watching all the way until the end, and I will see you next time. Bye.